Chavrusa Daf.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Chavrusa Daf.
Got our animation, hopefully, on this video.
You know, I did have a few fans come over to me over Shabbos.
Yeah, what they say?
They said that they see the video come up and it's a chiyuv for them to continue at it, even if they're on a shiur. You know, obviously the clickbait with Mordechai Shapiro helped.
Yeah. That's interesting, because I'm trying to think of, like, people are saying, I can see why it's good for you, but why would someone want to watch it?
You should know your mother actually told me she watches.
She watches it?
Yeah, she says every day she watches it.
That's awesome.
She loves hearing us talk.
That's awesome.
If she's listening to this, Mommy Linger, please respond.
Post a comment. I don't know if she knows. She'll probably message me on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
But we're on the back of Yuteth Amud Beis. We're at a new Mishnah. Take it away. It's a short Gemara, so we'll go piece to piece.
Oh, nice. I'll take us to the end of the parak. Ooh, very exciting.
Oh, yeah. Oh, right. Okay, so we'll get to the end of the parak today in Eretz Hashem, because we have Shachas 9:45. We did miss a couple of dafim in between the last one and this one, Friday Shabbos, or we missed Shabbos, so
Shabbos, yeah.
And part of Friday. So catch up on your own, Rabbi Say. Chavrusa Daf's not here to be your personal. Okay, go ahead.
Misha Nazir Nazir's Harbe. Someone who declared a Nazir's of a long duration, and then article says, well, outside the land of Israel. Behishlam is Nazirus, and he completed his terms of Nazirus there. Afterwards, he came to Eretz Yisrael. So, obviously, you have to come to Eretz Yisrael because that's where you have to give the karbanas.
Oh.
Nazir Shleshim Yom. He's a Nazir for 30 days.
So when he says he declared a Nazirus of long duration, we see here in the article it says a term longer than 30 days.
Okay.
Let's say he says 100 days.
Okay.
Right?
And then it says, Midrabanan, anywhere outside of Eretz Yisrael is regarded as tameh with regard to corpse tama. Hence, a person who does Nazirus outside of Eretz Yisrael has done so while he is rabbinically in a state of tama.
We're tameh now? When we go to Israel, we're supposed to go. Supposed to take a dunk.
Again, we don't have a way to even purify ourselves from corpse tama. The tama mason, the only way to have previously have done that was to get sprinkled.
But this tomb is only midrabanan, so to undo it, maybe you only need to go to the mikveh.
Not sure. Note 25 says, scripturally, it's midaraisa, the term he observed outside of Eretz is valid, since midaraisa, he was not tameh at all. However, as a penalty for observing Nazirus while in a rabbinical state of Tama, he is required to observe a 30-day term of Nazirus in Eretz Yisrael before offering his concluding sacrifices. Nevertheless, he's not required to repeat his entire term. Okay, that's why it said a long term. Because even if you had a 100 term, when you come to Eretz Yisrael, you still have to do a 30-day according to Beis Shammai. He's a Nazir at the beginning. He actually has to do his entire Nazirus again. If he has to do his 100 days, he's got to...
Oh, you know what Beis Hillel is saying when he says Nazir with Chila? He's explaining by Shammai that the 30 days he has to do is his final 30 days. Like if you play on the exact words. So he has to do another 100 days.
That's what it sounds like.
Beis Hillel treats this person just like someone who adopted Nazirus while in a cemetery. Therefore, none of the days he observed outside of Eretz Yisrael are reckoned towards his term. He must repeat the entire term that he observed outside Israel, and only then may offer his concluding sacrifices. Now I understand where Chaim Kanievsky didn't want to come to leave Eretz Yisrael. Now I understand where Chaim never left Eretz Yisrael.
Right.
Doesn't want this chumrah back, even it's Midarabanan.
Midarabanan.
It's like, according to Beis Hillel, we're in a cemetery.
Right.
What's shot though?
I guess you just don't know where the graves are. Is that what it is?
It's also you don't know. Must be something deeper. Question for Avi Linker at the 4-minute mark. Okay, go ahead. The
story with Hilani Amalka. Ooh, she's the one with the sukkah, right? With her 7 sons, right? In the sukkah. The sukkah.
Tzaddik, I have no clue what you're talking about, but I will take your word for it.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll get to that. She had a whole story in sukkah. So those who know.
She was the queen of Ariyabin. She converted to Yiddishkeit along with her son Munbaz.
All right. Shahalch benal milchama. Her son went to war. V'amra im yavai b'ni min hamilcham b'shalom ehe nazira sheva shanim. She said, if my son returns in peace from the war, I shall be a Nazir for 7 years. Uba bitna, mina mulchama, v'hais a Nazir sheva shanim. Kachav. Uv'sayv sheva shanim, also Eretz. She went to Eretz Yisrael. V'hayrua beis Hillel, shetei Nazir, oid sheva shanim acharis. This sounds like the Yaakov story, where he wanted to marry Rachel and Leah, and he had to work 7 years, another 7 years.
According to Beishami, she would only need 30 days.
Right. Uv'sayv sheva shanim nitmeis. Oh no. At the end of these 7 years, is that the end of the 14 years?
On the last day of the term, yeah.
Of 14. Yeah, she became Tamea, thereby forfeiting the whole 7 years. The Nimtzeis Nazir Esrim Ba'achas Shana. You can't make this stuff up. Omer Rabbi Yehuda Loihais Nazir Al Arba Esrei Shana. No. She was a Nazir for only 14 years. So, first it was saying 7 years first in Chutz La'aretz, then 7 years in Eretz Yisrael because of Beis Hillel, but then that final, another 7 because she became Tameh in the last day of the 14 years. And it will explain the Gemara what Rabbi Yehuda is trying to say.
According to Beishami, she only would have done 7 years and 30 days.
Yeah, you know how like it's usually we say Beis Hillel is more Makel in like
Again, I'll
every
take your word
place
for it. I'll take your word
in
for it.
Shas except for there's like 3 or 7 cases, I forget what they are. Do you recall what they are?
No.
Avi? I was asking Avi.
Oh, sorry. Another one for Avi at the 6-minute one.
So, but that's in general. But this is definitely somewhere where Beis Hillel is more Machmir.
Right.
Poor Hillel.
You know what? I'm going to try to like pontificate why Rabbi Yehuda says Nazir for only 14 years. Because Beis Hillel is just being Machmir. So on a Chmira, on when he's strict, the fact that she became Tameh, at the end, we're not going to... It's more of like her going through the motions. Not that like, if she becomes Tameh, you know, she has to redo it.
Machmir. Or maybe I would say it's like, it never even counted. You're telling me, it said, oh, she was in Nazir for 21 years. She wasn't, because if all the days preceding of that term are forfeited, then you really were only in Nazir for 14 years.
No, then it would be 7.
For 7.
Well, I thought you were saying that in Chutz La'aretz you're never Nazir. So in Eretz Yisrael you were 14 years.
Yeah. No, different ways. Let's see. The Gemara attempts to explain that the dispute between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel is rooted in a difference of opinion about the nature of the tumah that was rabbinically imposed on lands. So great. We're going to now learn a little bit about tumah d'Rabbanan of Chutz La'aretz. Katani reisha Beis Shammai am Nazir shleshim yoim uBeis Hillel am Nazir b'tchila. Shalema b'halkama. Let's say that they're arguing the following. The Beis Shammai Savri, Beis Shammai, who says only 30 days, says Eretz ha'amim misham gusha gazrola, that only the ground, but not the air, of the lands of Chutz La'aretz were decreed by the rabbis as Tameh, and because this is not a severe form of Tumah, there's room for leniency. If someone touched the ground of these lands, he would be Tameh. This is called Tumas Maya, Tumah of touching. Likewise, he would be Tameh if he hovered over the ground. This is called Tumas Oyel. Okay, so we have 2 types of Tumah, touching the ground and the Oyel, since the person's body constitutes, as it were, a tent or roof over the ground. But if, for example, he was transported in a closed box, you've seen this one before, so that a floor separated him from the ground below, he would not be Tameh even though he is located in the air of those lands. Okay, and in Chutz La'aretz, so the decree of Tumah of these lands reflected the sage's concern that because the nations did not restrict their burial to cemeteries, any spot might contain a corpse. This could result in someone's contracting Tumah unknowingly and subsequently entering the temple or contaminating sacred things. Hence, the sages agree that anyone in these lands is considered Tameh even if he did not come into contact with the corpse, because we have to be misupik whether we have to be machmir that since they don't mark the graves in Chutz La'aretz, that he's actually Tameh.
So according to Beis Shammai, if you fly over Chutz La'aretz
You're in
an
an
airplane that's not contained,
It's always contained.
No, but let's say there, whatever, like you were in a hot air balloon and there's a hole in the middle and you were able to like look out and you're still not Tameh because there's no Tumas Aver.
Right. Okay. Good one.
Interesting. Right. And that's why he's more lenient. Is that?
So we didn't get to it yet.
And because this is not a severe form of Tumah,
we shouldn't read, right?
That there is room for leniency. If only the ground is agreed tummy, but not the air, this indicates that the rabbis do not legislate the decree here with the utmost severity, and therefore there is room for leniency.
Good.
Accordingly, Beis Shammai did not demand the repetition of the whole Nazir's term, but only of 30
days. Right. I wonder where he. Okay.
But Beis Hillel Savre, Yisham Avira Gazrola. But the Beis Hillel hold, the reason you have to repeat the term entirely is because they decreed the tumah upon the air also. So it's someone is in the airspace of the lands of the nations, even though something separates him from the ground, he is transported in a closed box, he becomes tumah. This is a stringent form of tumah, and consequently, stringency is an order concerning forfeiture of Nazirs. Accordingly, Beis Hillel require
Petition the entire term.
I always find it interesting when they do Beis Hillel and they say require instead of requires. I'm like, Beis Hillel is one guy. I'm like, wait, Beis Hillel is a team of people.
It's like Taisus too.
Right.
When they say they, them.
Taisus explain.
I always
Like,
thought
what?
Taisus is a they, them, but
Yeah. Oh, pronouns. That's funny. So that would be a possible setup for the explanation in the Mishnah. Comes along the Gemara.
hello.
There is no disagreement as to the nature of the tumah decreed upon the lands of the nations. To kulayame misham gusha gazrala. Rather, all agreed that they decreed only on the ground and not in the air. Ube Shammai side bestam Nazir's kanisna. Sounds Russian. Kanisna. But Beis Shammai hold that we penalize the person who adopts Nazirs outside Israel with the observance of an ordinary term of Naziris. You could have also said that he just holds that it's because it's on the ground and not in the air. That's why it's a less severe. You didn't have to change Beis Shammai. We explained Beis Shammai in the setup that we said no to, the same way we're explaining him now.
I feel like we're also explaining Beis Hillel the same way. Beis Shammai said bestam Nazir's kanisa.
No, before that.
Anytime.
Kulayami Shem Gusha Gazru. They really all agree that they decreed only on the ground and not the air. Right. That's what we said about Beis Shammai before. And that's why you're less severe, because it's...
That's why it's less severe. Oh, but then why does Beis Hillel...
Okay, we'll explain Beis Hillel separately.
Yeah.
But, like, you don't have to come on to Stam Nazir's Kanisna. But I guess we want to try to
The
work them between the two.
Yeah.
Beis Shammai hold that we penalize the person who adopted Naziris outside Israel with the observance of an ordinary term of Naziris. It's like a knas.
Well, we already said it's a knas because if you're outside of Eretz Yisrael, who do you think you are to become a Nazir when you know that there's this quasi tumah state?
Don't say anything about Tumah.
Yeah, I mean when you're outside of Eretz Yisrael, that's the whole thing. Corpse tumah. You're just by living there, it's as if you're in a cemetery.
What if I said it has nothing to do with Tumah and it's just because you can't bring the kabbalah? So you're being knast out to that. I'm saying.
What I mean, the reason why, no, not that you can't bring kabbalah. You're gonna have to go to Eretz Yisrael to bring the kabbalah because that's where the basic mikdash is.
It's still
But by being in Chutz Haaretz, you are in this quasi state of tumah, and it's like a nazir going Hareini Nazir. It's a person saying Hareini Nazir while they're in a cemetery. Like basically being in North Woodmere or being in a cemetery is similar because, yes, cemetery has deraisa like a tumah, but North Woodmere, wherever you are, has their abundance of them because maybe there's a grave somewhere.
So we knas him. Beis Hillel said ki kansa betchilas nazirs, whereas Beis Hillel hold that we penalize him. Oh, it's the level of the knas.
Yeah.
Both hold that you're getting knas because you did something midrabanan in a cemetery. Ish, because you do have the tumah. But whatever, there's a certain level of tumah, so we're going to knas you for doing that. But the question is, how deep of a knas are we going to knas you? And according to Beis Hillel, we're going to give you a big knas, you're going to lose your entire recess, and you're going to return to the beginning of your Nazir's term. We've explained the Gemara according to the standard text. However, Rosh rejects this reading. According to the alternative text, the Gemara's hypothesis was that Beis Shammai assumed that the rabbinic decree about the lands of the nations included even the air. Well, Beis Hillel limited to the ground. Oh, they switch it. Okay, I don't want to confuse myself.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
They're like the same thing.
Okay. Maisa beheleni hamalka. Go ahead, Rabbi Binyomin.
Ooh, okay. So we had Queen Helena. Oh, my grandmother's name is Helena.
What is that, like a European name?
She was born in Lublin, actually. So now you know the passwords of all my things. asks you for what's your grandmother, maiden name, Helena.
Binyomin, this is a public forum.
I know. Oh, my pastor's about to get hacked. My civility amalki iboilahu ke bishanitmes va'ali b'de beishamai. So according to Rabbi Huda, who was at the end of the Mishnah, right? Rabbi Huda said she was Nazir for only 14 years. According to Rabbi Huda, was the story that she became Tamea at the end of the term she observed in Israel, but that only a 30-day term was required, as according to Beis Shammai. So when we said he's 14 years, was that because he held like Beis Shammai, and therefore? But then why would she have 14 years? She'd be 7 years plus 30 plus 30.
Not even, because she only came Tamei at the end of 14 years. But then she was
good. Yeah.
But she didn't bring the carbons.
I don't know how that's even possible. But let's just see the ideal.
Also, Beis Hill was the one who ruled it. So she didn't go to Beis Shammai. She went
She's
to Beis Hill.
She changed and then she went to the new.
No.
I'm not doing this again.
Right. Rabbi Huda said she was a Nazira for only 14 years. So, according to Yehuda, was the story that she became Tmeya at the end of the term she observed in Israel, but that only a 30-day term was required. I don't even understand what the premise is. The Gemara proposes two ways of understanding Rabbi Yehuda. The first is that Queen Helena observed 7 years abroad in fulfillment of her vow, came to Israel where she observed a 30-day penalty term as required by Beis Shammai. At the end of the 30 days, she contracted Tama, which forfeited everything. She therefore had to repeat a full 7 years, giving a total of 14 years. That's interesting that the 30 days can then, that's risky. You're only doing a repeat 30 days, but if you mess this up, you're going to have to do the first 7. Is that what Rabbi Yehuda means? Or perhaps, like Dilma B'Shalei Shenitmas, or perhaps Yehuda claims that she did not become Tameh at the end of her term, and his view is in accord with Beis Hillel. So what? She did the 7, came there, and then she had to do another 7, and she became Tameh at the end on the first day of the second 7, and then she repeated it. According to this possibility, we could have a different version of the story, but did not have any halachic themes at the first time of our Mishnah. According to Rabbi Yehuda, note 4, she observed 7 years abroad, then came to Israel. She observed a 7-year penalty as term as required by Hillel, but she observed a total of only 14 years simply because she managed to conclude the 7-year penalty term without. She didn't even contract some. I thought maybe it meant in the beginning.
Oh, wait. So the story's different. She observed a total of 14 years simply because she actually did 7 and 7 without getting Tameh.
Right. I thought it meant that she became 7. She did 7 the first day of her term. The repeat term, she became Tameh, and then she did it, so it was 7.
It's a totally different story.
Yeah, when you read the Gemara, you're like, what? And then the Rashi, we really need the understanding because it's not just like Chesur Mechsur, it's what's the term for Chalufe. Okay, so we really just changed up the Mishnah, but we got to try to figure out what does Rabbi Yehuda hold.
Okay.
Tashma.
Great. Tashma. Go for it, Ellie.
Come learn the resolution from the text of the Mishnah. Also, la'aretz v'hayruha beisel shtei nazir oid sheva shanim achreis. Now we're going to use the text of the Mishnah. Before we just uprooted the whole stuff. Okay, fine. She went up to the land of Israel, and Beis Hillel ruled for her that she must be Nazir for another 7 years. At the end of these 7 years, she became Tameya.
What culture amazing.
Good morning, Rabbi Teddy.
Rabbi Teddy appearance at the 18-minute mark for the Chavrusa Daf today. Amazing. Okay, so she went up to the land of Israel, and Beis Hillel ruled for her that she must be Nazir for another 7 years. At the end of these 7 Nazir, she became Tameya. Now, if you should think that Rabbi Yehuda agrees, if you think that Rabbi Yehuda agrees that she became Tameya at the end of her penalty term, but that term was only 30 days as required according to Beis Shammai. So how does the Mishnah state? Rabbi Yehuda says she was in Nazir for only 14 years. He would need to say 14 years plus 30 days. Why? Because she was Nazir there, but then she came and she did 30 days. And then she became Tameh, and then she has to there Beis Shammai says she has to repeat the 14 years. If you become Tameh,
repeat 14 years.
I'll repeat 7 years. if you become, I'm assuming that it means that if you became tummy during your 30 days, Beis Shammai holds that taka, you became tummy on the 30th day, you're going to have to repeat the 7 years.
You do? See, is that what we said in that first?
No, but we're trying to explain Rabbi Yehuda. According to the Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda's version of the story is that she observed 14 years and years, not 14 years plus a month. Thus, it is clear that the Gemara's second suggestion is correct. That is, Rabbi Yehuda's dispute the facts of the story. In his version, clearly did not become Tamea at the end of her penalty term. He agrees, however, that the penalty term was for 7 years as required by Beis Hillel. Huh?
Then what's the difference between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel?
Yeah. Come learn, she went up to the land of Israel, and Beis Hillel ruled for her that she must be Nazir for another 7 years. Now, if you think that Rabbi Yehuda agrees that she became Tamei at the end of her penalty term, but that the term was only 30 days as required according to Beis Shammai, how does Mishnah state? Rabbi Yehuda says she was Nazir for only 14 years. He would need to say 14 years plus 30 days.
I think I have shot.
In this resolution, it's that we're coming out that Rabbi Yehuda's like Beis Hillel, right?
That Rabbi Yehuda, could be within Beis Hillel, right? I mean, that's what we're trying to understand.
No, but in this Tashma, though.
In this Tashma, you're saying it's trying to answer, right, exactly. It can't be like Beis Shammai.
Okay, but tell me why.
Okay. So the machlekes in the Mishnah of someone who's in Chutz La'aretz, right? And then the Beis Shammai says 30 days. Beis Hillel says you have to do the whole thing. That machlekes is just in that penalty. When you come to Eretz Yisrael, do you have to redo? Is it just 30-day penalty?
Yeah.
Or is the penalty a whole term penalty? So now, when Hilani Hamalka became Tameh during that penalty term, do you start, meaning when it was the last day of that penalty term? So according to Beis Shammai, it's that 30-day extension, but then if you mess up in that 30 days, like we just said, you have to do another 7 years. So the last day of that penalty term would be, let's say, 7 years and 30 days, and then another 7 years.
14.
So that's the question. It's not 14, it should be 14 plus 30 days.
According to
Beis Shammai.
And according to
Beis Hillel, what would that have meant?
There was no Tamea? Depending on who you hold is whether or not she became Tameh?
Okay, so now I at least understand the first part and why it doesn't work like Beis Shammai. What was this? Oy Dilma was B'shaloi Nitmes. Rita says that she did not become Tamea at the end of her term. Aliba de Beis Hillel. So at the end of which term? According to this possibility, Rita had a different version of Queen Helena's story, but did not have any halachic disagreements with the first Tana of her Mishnah. According to Rita, she observed 7 years abroad and then came to Eretz Yisrael, where she observed a 7-year penalty as required by Beis Hillel. But she observed a total of only 14 years simply because she managed to conclude the 7-year term without contracting Tumah. So
we're trying to
I feel like
in the case
but changing it. Because then the whole ending of it, of that she became Tameh and then had another 7 years.
If I was by myself, I would have looked at this Gemara for 2 hours and then realized it's what I thought the first minute. Like, it can't be Beis Shammai in any sense of the word because you'll never have a case of 14 years. Right? Oh, and it works like Beis Hillel, but you do have to change some of the facts.
Right.
That she wasn't actually Tameh. But that's more believable than
14.
You can never make Beis Shammai work.
Right.
The only way to make Beis Hillel work is you change one of the facts. So according to Beis Shammai, you can make it work according to Beis Shammai also, Binyomin. You can make it work according to Beis Shammai also. Just change the fact that it says 14 years.
Right.
The 14 years.
Or people, they rounded. 14.
It does say that here. However, Yerushalmi followed by Rambam in note 6. And the Eri explains that the figure 14 years refers only to whole years, not fraction of years. Thus, it is possible that she in fact was in Nazir for 14 years and 30 days, even though Mishnah not spot the mention. According to this interpretation, Yehuda follows Beis Shammai.
From the Yerushalmi again.
Wow. Tanya Nami Haki was similarly toward Rabbi Yehuda. Omer B'Shem Rabbi Eliezer. Yehuda says in the name of Rabbi Eliezer. Omer Kraz Zois Teres HaNazir. This pasuk states, this is the laws of the Nazir. At Torah Amra, Torah is saying, Ki nitma b'yayim melais. If he became Tamei on the completion day, Tain Lay Teres Nazir, given the law of a standard Nazir. Yehuda accepts the view of Rabbi Eliezer. The term is longer than 30 days. Two on the last day of the term obligates only a 30-day make a term and does not cause forfeiture of the entire term. Accordingly, the premise that Yehuda agreed that Queen Lay became Tamei at the end of her second term is untenable. If her second term was 30, the term was required by Shammai, then together with the additional 30 days, the necessary rather to what?
Then together with the additional 30 days may be necessary. by the Tumah, she would have observed altogether only 7 years and 60 days. This is what I was saying, where that whole machlekes, we thought it was penalty, but it actually doesn't remove. The penalty doesn't make you start your whole term again. The penalty just makes you do another 30 days. And then if you got Tumah again, you do another 30 days. So it's 7 years and 60 days. You hear how it could be?
So
the
why,
math
according
could be
to Rabbi Huda, was it 14 years?
that.
Because you're not.
No, according to Rabbi Yehuda, just why was that? Because it was like Beis Hillel. I think in that case, she obviously did like Beis Hillel, because like Beis Shammai, it wouldn't make sense. I don't know why this is a tiny namihachi though. The tiny namihachi means you bring a raya
and a brisa that Rabbi Huda says in the result of Lezer. The pasuk states, "This is the law of the Nazir." The Torah is saying, "Kinitma b'yayim malais." It became tummy on the completion day. Tain light Torahs Nazir, given the law of the standard Nazir. Then he would have to repeat 30 days. So that maybe it's like a riot.
So it could be Rabbi Eliezer
is
arguing
why it can't be Beishamar. Because then it would need, you see that you need 14 years plus 30 days.
So my question is Rabbi Eliezer arguing on Shammai Beis Hillel?
No, he's trying to, maybe the Bryce is trying to explain that you see this idea that it would need to be 14 years plus 30 days.
Yes. Well, okay, you continue that thought, but look at this brackets. It's not used here in the usual sense. It usually introduces further corroboration of a conclusion. Here, the Bryce actually changes their previous position.
And the second version of the part was
Previously, the Gemara held the country came to me that the Emir Shammai would require her to observe a total of 14 years and 30 days. Now, in the light of the Bryce review, the holds actually that the total would be 7 years and 60 days. However, the ultimate conclusion remains the same, namely that Rabbi Huda follows Beis Hillel.
Were you in contact when you made the
But okay, so that's why I was so confused by Tanya Mehachi, because Tanya Mehachi usually is bringing a raya.
So what are we saying?
Something previously. It's saying the opposite. It's saying that she actually would only do 7 years and 60 days.
7 years and 60 days according to who? Both of them? Beis Shammai.
No, Beis Shammai would require her to observe a total of 14 years and 30 days. In light of Bryce, so Rizul holds that the total would be 7 years and 60 days.
Still do that. Baruch Hashem.
So, okay. I think what the Raya of the Bryce is saying, Tain light Teres Nazir means give an extra 30 days. That's what it's trying to say.
No, so we brought a raya that Rabbi Yehuda is like Beis Hillel because according to Beis Hillel, she had to come. She did a full 7 years, and then there was no Tamea. So that's why she just a repeat of 14 years. According to Beis Shammai, if the case was that she became Tameh, he would need 14 years plus 30 days. And Tanya Nami Hachi, okay, Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Yehuda says in the name of Rabbi Eliezer, Zois Teres a Nazir, this law of the Nazir, so it became Tameh in the place today. Nazir. Give him the law of a standard Nazir. You access to the Rabbi Eliezer with that where the term is low and the first two and the lack of the term is only 30 to make it term does not go from her. Accordingly, the premise of that Rabbi Yehuda agrees that Queen Helena became Tameh at the end of her second term is untenable. Her second term was
Rina, are you ready to go to Summer Fun Day? Over.
And together with the additional 30 days, okay, we'll leave it here.